So tell me, are you ready to be locked down again? It may be coming. Just as a reminder, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Really appreciate all the support I've been getting, but we, just need to make sure we are pushing the message out there, getting it spread, waking up the planet to what's going on. So let's get into this. So I'm pretty sure you've all been seeing the flooding of reports. Well, I wouldn't say flooding just yet, but subtly letting you know what's about to happen soon or what might be happening. So it already happened in the UK as of Wednesday with Prime Minister Boris Johnson locking down the UK once more. Well, here in the US, you've probably seen articles like these of Fauci warning, okay, cases are going down, yes, but we need to get ready to hunker down again come this fall and winter. And what is that code for? Another lockdown possibly coming. Are you prepared for that? They're preparing you for another lockdown despite the fact that 40% of all people, that includes those who are most vulnerable and at risk of this due to their comorbidities, age, etc., that is bringing down that number. Still, 40% of people of all ages and of all risk factors are asymptomatic. They're preparing to lock you down again despite the fact that 80% of people of a certain age range and or should I say certain demographic are asymptomatic, i.e. they show no symptoms. They should do this despite that the majority of people within that similar age range at the very worst show mild symptoms. A sore throat, cough, maybe a little loss in taste, loss of smell for a little bit. Even Jordan Peterson's daughter, after having tested positive, she said, you know what, I felt like I had a mild cold for about 2.5 weeks. That is what they're about to lock you down for. Despite that the average age of those dying in this country are in their 70s. They're beginning to lock you back into your home due to rising death numbers, so they claim, due to COVID-19, despite the fact that doctors are coming out and telling us that they are being coached to add COVID-19 to the death certificate as the cause of death.
Of this, and if we're not getting it, I think that, well, in Minnesota, as a physician, I received an email last week from the Department of Health coaching me on how to fill out death certificates. And I never really received coaching from the Vital Statistics Agency in terms of how to do a death certificate. But basically, I felt like they were saying, you don't have to have a confirmed laboratory test for COVID-19 in order to make the death certificate be COVID-19. So
they're preparing to lock you down because of the massively inflated number of deaths that they cooked up. That despite that inflated number, a vast majority of those are deaths that are completely unrelated to COVID, but they had died because of something else. Don't believe me? Look at these articles and news reportings.
Who would later die. 55-year-old Richard Cardona was shot 7 times when he called police to the intersection of Westchester and Zariga Avenues last month. He was holding a knife and what appeared to be a large gun when police arrived. They opened fire and video shows Cardona pleading for them to kill him. Get the knife. Cardona died 5 days later in the hospital. The medical examiner determined his preliminary cause of death was coronavirus, complicated by underlying health conditions.
They've already told us to our face, if you were already dying of something else, even if you were in hospice and you were given 2 weeks to live, but you contracted COVID on day 10 out of 2 weeks and you died within that 2 weeks period, so on day 14, since being put on hospice, but you tested positive for COVID, they're counting that as a COVID death. This is what they're locking you down for. They don't want you to know that a lot of these facilities, hospitals, are labeling patients as COVID positive, despite the fact that those same patients continually and repeatedly tested negative for COVID-19 and yet later come up as COVID positive.
She began by telling us one of her most disturbing findings, that people who had repeatedly tested negative for COVID were being described as COVID confirmed.
Okay, so if you look close, I'm in my patient's chart. I am pulling up like their laboratory results. So if you look here, you'll see COVID-19 bioreference lab. Here are the test results. As you can see, 5/1/2020 at 17:16, not detected. They test for a second time, 5/4/2020 at 17:59, not detected. So both of those are negative. Scroll up to the top. This is my patient. They are on a vent and they are being called COVID-19 confirmed, droplet in contact and eye protection.
They're justifying locking you down again, despite the fact that dozens of laboratories are giving false positives. By the dozens of labs are given no negative reporting at all. You have cases like Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Lions, for instance, testing positive, then negative again in the subsequent days. Ohio governor also tested twice in a single day and got 2 different results in the same day. They're preparing to lock you down again despite the growing numbers of domestic abuse, substance abuse, and dramatic increase in suicides as a result of being a prisoner in your own home. They're preparing to lock you down once more despite the skyrocketing number of people who are being placed on unemployment, losing their job, losing their sources of income. And they're doing this despite the fact that they're providing no real means of supporting you after they took away your job, after they destroyed your business. Congress still cannot get their act together to say, all right, we are going to force you into unemployment. We're going to force you to lose your business, your means of income, but we are not going to provide you with adequate income to supplement that or to replace that. And yet we've also seen a skyrocket in the richest 1% in this country getting more than a 14% increase in their wealth, making hundreds of billions of more dollars during this same lockdown pandemic. So while the rich are getting richer, the poor and middle class are getting poorer. They are deciding the winners and losers, who wins, who loses, who's allowed to be open, who can make a living and who can't, who's going to be at the mercy of the government and who can remain self-sufficient. Is it that local grocery store or bodega on the corner, or is it the big chain Walmart, Pathmark, Trader Joe's? Are you prepared to no longer have the right to determine your own risks? Are you prepared to have police coming to your house telling you you cannot go to your neighbor's house?
Deputy Everhart with the Sheriff's Department. So, are you aware that we're in a stay-at-home order right now?
Yeah, obviously.
By the government?
Yes, I am aware.
Okay, you're aware of that?
I am
So
aware.
I don't need to explain that to you?
No, you don't need to explain
Okay,
that to
I
me.
can if you need me to.
Go, you can because your officer was just here 2 weeks ago,
Okay, do you need me to
and he
explain
explained it to me that you guys weren't enforcing that order.
Oh, we're about to.
Okay.
You understand it though?
Okay, so why are you here?
Because your daughter is going to play at other people's home and you're allowing it to happen.
They were over here as well, so are you here?
They've been talked to.
Okay.
So
No, I understand. Okay,
And so either you can acknowledge it or you can argue.
I'm acknowledging it.
Okay, stop having your kid go by other people's home.
Okay, I acknowledge it. Anything else?
Nope, that was it. Apparently there was some other
I
issue
acknowledged it.
before
I acknowledged it.
Good.
Anything else?
Yeah, I need your last name. Amy, what's your last name?
I'm not, is there a reason you're asking for
I'm
it?
adding you to the screen so we can document that we had contact with you.
Is is there a reason for it?
Yep, because you're violating a
That's what
state
I'm
order,
talking
which is
about.
a.
If you let me finish, that's what I'm explaining to you. Because you're violating an order.
I haven't violated an order.
We're gonna have documentation in our screen with your name because we're here talking to you about that you said you just acknowledged.
Are you prepared to potentially not be able to spend the holidays with your loved ones? Are you prepared to see massive increases in surveillance, massive increases in censorship of what you're allowed to say, what you can't say on social media platforms, on TV, what information you're allowed to consume, what information you're allowed to hear? Otherwise, it's considered dangerous, misinformation that can be considered harmful during this pandemic. Are you prepared to see your freedoms trampled on because we're in a pandemic? Are you prepared for a national mask mandate, regardless of where you live, regardless of the situation, regardless of whether or not if you are outside by yourself without a soul around you for hundreds of feet, hell, even a mile, only to be stopped by the police, to be forced to put on a mask?
Together at what an in-public mask mandate enforcement program run by the City of Miami Police in this case looks like. You are going to be watching neighborhood resource officers for this area. This is at Margaret Case Park. And essentially when they spot somebody who is not wearing that mask, they approach them and they hand them a civil penalty. You may remember just yesterday, the City of Miami doubled the fine amount. It was $50. It's now $100 in order to match the county's individual civil penalty fine of $100. So right now you're about to meet David Hines. He's one of the no-maskers, of one of these mask mandate violators who was caught and fined and now faces that $100 charge. And then you're going to hear from Police Commander Freddie Cruz. Let's listen in together.
I'm very aware. I didn't think I needed one in public if I was 6 feet away, but it's so ridiculous. I don't know if I could bring myself to actually participate in this insanity.
Are you prepared to have your power turned off because you had too many people in your home?
That is why tonight I'm authorizing the city to shut off Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Service in the egregious cases in which houses, businesses, and other venues are hosting unpermitted large gatherings.
Or are you going to fight and stand up and say, you know what, I had enough of this. I'm not buying into all of the lies. I am assessing my own risk factors, what I can and cannot take, what may be dangerous to me and what's not. If I don't deem myself to be at risk, I'm going to allow myself to go on life as normal, but not as completely normal, but taking certain necessary precautions, of course, but still assuming the risk. And if I am someone who is in the at-risk group, because of my pre-existing conditions, my comorbidities that I might potentially have due to my health, I have COPD, I'm massively overweight, I have diabetes, I have asthma, I'm over 65. I'm going to choose for myself to take certain measures and I will self-quarantine. I will lock myself in at home. Or are you willing to have the government tell you what you can do? And if you don't agree, they literally will take away your right to move about. You might even see a rise in ankle monitors. You'll see your right to congregate and express your religious freedoms trampled upon, even if you're trying to do so safely. Are you prepared to lose those rights? One of our founding fathers once said, those who give up their liberties and freedoms to enjoy temporary safety deserve neither. So this is what could be coming, and this has already happened in the UK as of Wednesday. They've already got the rule of 6. They're starting a new operation to try to massively test everybody every single day, or millions within weeks, and using the rising in the case numbers as a result of the increase in testing to do further restrictions on your freedom, despite the fact that we were originally told the goal was to flatten the curve, not overwhelm the health systems. And that's what we, for the most part, done. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please leave comments in the comment section that tell me how many hospitals were truly overrun. are we seeing right now an overrun in hospital systems? Are hospitals turning people away? Have they run out of beds? Have they run out of ventilators since all of this reopening and yet still rising in cases? I mean, and it's funny, you're seeing the rise in cases, not rise in hospitalizations, not the flooding of hospitals. You're just seeing more testing, so more positives. And we've already talked about the reliability of those tests. But are you prepared to then see your rights trampled on for something that will be around for probably the rest of our lives, that we just need to learn how to deal with and or accept as a community? What are you going to do? Are you paying attention to the signs that are happening? And what are you planning to do come November to try to fight against that? Or are you going to acquiesce? So I want to hear what your thoughts and comments are in the comment section below. That's just my thoughts on what I'm seeing in these reports and stories about Fauci and this new better hunker down come the fall, and what that really means and how they're subtly trying to prepare us for potentially another lockdown. If you like what you heard, please hit the like button and don't forget to hit subscribe, and feel free to share this with your friends, family, loved ones, anyone you think would be interested in the message. This is Bruce the Boss coming at you from Texas. Stay blessed. Viva la revolution.